funny about this whole lat fiber topic is that I've literally had Paul Carter and Mundy resort to saying that you cannot bias regions of the lat. This is not a straw man. Their takes have literally insinuated that there is no voluntary activation deficit in the lats, and what that basically means is that you're able to just recruit all the fibers in the lats with just one exercise. Look at this. First of all, this right here is a straw man saying that you cannot truly grow divisions of the lat off of one another. Nobody has ever said that. And look at this, he says it means that you do not have some atrophy in some motor units when you're using a pull down versus a lat row. And then he tried to show some EMG that somebody did that showed similar activation. What this means though, by saying that there is no atrophy between the two, he's saying that the same muscle fibers are recruited between the two. Because unless a muscle fiber is receiving the stimulus, it is going to atrophy. So he's saying it's the same between a pull down and a lat row. The guy has literally resorted to saying that you cannot bias lat regions, dude. What have I done? By insinuating that there is no voluntary activation deficit is also nuts. The mid to lower lats clearly have better leverage in the frontal plane compared to the sagittal plane. So it's going to be preferentially activated in the frontal plane. Same thing with the upper lat having better leverage in the sagittal plane compared to the frontal plane. And basically what happens when it comes to recruitment is that the muscle that has best leverage is going to be preferentially activated, and then once motor unit recruitment is maxed out, then it's going to move on to the next muscle, and so on and so forth. For example, in the frontal plane, it's going to go mid to lower lats, and then it's going to move on to the upper lats. And then same thing with the sagittal plane, it's going to go upper lats and then go to mid to lower lats. Now remember how we said that there's no atrophy between the two exercises, so that means that activation is the same between the two exercises. In order for this to happen, for example, in the frontal plane, the mid to lower lats will have to max out in activation, then move on to the next region, which is the upper lats. And in order for the mid to lower lats to have the same amount of activation inside of the sagittal plane too, the upper lats will have to max out in activation, and then the mid to lower lats will have to max out in activation too in order to match the activation in the frontal plane. And then it's going to be the same thing with the upper lats here because they already maxed out activation in the sagittal plane, so it's going to have to max out activation in the mid to lower lats and then max out activation in the upper lats. If that didn't make sense, basically what he's saying is that there's no voluntary activation deficit in the lats and you can just recruit all of the lats with just one of the exercises. Not even joking when I say this. This whole fiber debate has been one of the biggest butcherings of physiology I have ever seen. It's literally on par with like Dr. Mike and stuff. And it's so dishonest. So yeah, creative stuff and help self-love.